The leather notebook digs into my palms. Grandmother's gift, now worn smooth from years of documenting every slight, every absence, every moment I wasn't enough. I grip it tighter beneath my graduation gown, anchoring myself to its familiar texture while the scholarship ceremony drones on around me. 3 rows from the back, Mom shifts in her chair. The coral dress she bought for Paige's graduation tomorrow catches the auditorium lights. Dad checks his watch for the 4th time in 10 minutes. They're here for the practice run, of course. The real celebration comes tomorrow when my twin sister gets her communications degree. And now, President Chen's voice cuts through my thoughts. We present our highest academic honor, the Franklin Ledger Fellowship. My pulse quickens. The leather grows slick against my palms. This year's recipient exemplifies extraordinary resilience. She pauses, scanning the crowd. Working 3 jobs while maintaining perfect grades, Brooke Ellis showed us what determination truly means. Mom's head snaps up. Dad's hand freezes mid-reach for his phone. Without family financial support, Miss Ellis cleaned classrooms at dawn, shelved books until midnight, and still earned the highest GPA in her class. The words echo through the auditorium. Each achievement lands like a stone in still water, rippling through 2 decades of carefully maintained family fiction. Paige blinks rapidly, the way she always does when her world tilts sideways. Please join me in celebrating a young woman who refused to let circumstances define her future. The audience rises. The standing ovation thunders through my bones, but I barely hear it. 23 years of invisibility crystallize in this moment. I rise on legs that should shake but don't, muscle memory from thousands of pre-dawn shifts keeping me steady. Through the sea of faces, I catch Professor Greer's eye. He nods once, the mentor who saw me when no one else bothered to look. The notebook's spine cracks as I clutch closer. 4 minutes. That's all that separated Paige and me at birth. 4 minutes that somehow stretched into a chasm of new dolls versus hand-me-downs, of precious girl versus you're tough, you'll manage. Mom's voice echoes from a dozen childhood fevers. Paige needs extra attention when she's sick. Then to me, always to me. You're strong, honey, you'll be fine. The podium looms closer with each step. My heels click against hardwood, a steady rhythm like the countless nights I pace the library stacks, memorizing finance terms while shelving books. The same shoes, polished weekly, lasted all 4 years. Unlike Paige's closet full of options, I couldn't afford replacements. Last year's honors banquet plays through my mind, the empty chairs where my parents should have been. Paige's choir solo took priority, like always. My English teacher, Mrs. Martinez, drove me home after I accepted the valedictorian medal. The streetlights illuminated her car's dashboard while revelation settled into my bones. This is how it's always going to be. But I applied to college anyway. Filled out every scholarship form, worked every shift, studied through meals I couldn't afford to eat. The podium stands before me now. Solid wood, worn smooth by years of speakers. I place my grandmother's notebook beside the microphone. Its pages holding the weight of everything unspoken. The audience waits. President Chen smiles encouragement. Professor Greer leans forward slightly. Even the corporate recruiters in the front row focus intently, seeing me. Really seeing me. My parents' faces swim in the back of the auditorium, frozen in matched expressions of shock. The perfect family portrait finally cracks. I open my mouth to speak. 23 years of silence ready to shatter. But looking at them now, I realize something that straightens my spine and steadies my voice. I don't need their approval anymore. I never did. Thank you, President Chen. My voice rings clear through the speakers. This honor belongs not just to me, but to everyone who helped me recognize my own worth. The words flow smooth and strong, like water breaking through a dam. In the back row, Mom's hand flies to her throat. Dad's shoulders stiffen. Paige's rapid blinking reaches hummingbird speed. But their reactions don't matter anymore. My truth echoes through the auditorium, witnessed at last by hundreds. The leather notebook holds 2 decades of invisible achievements. Tonight, finally, the world sees what was written in its pages all along. I am Brooke Ellis, and I am enough. The applause swells around me as I step down from the podium after I gave my speech. Professor Greer reaches out to shake my hand, his weathered face creasing into a proud smile. Behind him, a cluster of corporate recruiters whisper and nod, their business cards already appearing like magic between manicured fingers. Extraordinary presentation, Miss Ellis. A woman in a crisp charcoal suit extends her hand. We'd love to discuss opportunities at Gwen Sachs. Before I can respond, my mother's voice cuts through the crowd. Brooke, darling. Her coral dress parts the sea of black graduation gowns like a salmon swimming upstream. Dad trails behind, his expression hovering between pride and confusion. Paige blinks rapidly beside them, her fingers twisting the program into accordion folds. You should have told us it was this serious. Mom's smile stretches wide, brittle as spun sugar. Her hand lands on my shoulder, squeezing just a bit too hard. The leather notebook burns against my ribs where I tucked it inside my gown. Would you have listened? Her fingers tighten, then release. The question hangs between us, heavy as storm clouds. Margaret Ellis. Mom turns to the Goldman recruiter, social autopilot engaging. I'm Brooke's mother. We're just so proud of her achievement. Achievement. Singular. As if the last 4 years could be condensed into this one moment of public recognition. A memory rises, sharp as broken glass. Senior year, college acceptance letters spread across our kitchen table. Mom beaming at Paige. We'll cover everything at Michigan, sweetheart. Your father and I want you to focus on the full college experience. Then, turning to me, you're smart, Brooke. You'll figure it out. $80,000. That's what they invested in one twin while leaving the other to drown. Actually, Professor Greer's voice cuts through my thoughts. Brooke figured out quite a lot. That's why I nominated her for the fellowship. He turns to address my parents directly. In 15 years of teaching, I've never seen a student work harder. Dad's jaw tightens. Well, if she'd just asked for help? Richard. Mom's voice carries the false brightness of a department store greeting. She's already pulling out her phone. I need to call Susan. She won't believe our Brooke won such a prestigious award. Our Brooke. The possessive pronoun lands like a slap. Helen from the scholarship committee mentioned you were quite the legend. A tall woman approaches, last year's Franklin Ledger pin glinting on her lapel. 3 jobs while maintaining perfect grades? That's unprecedented. Mom's fingers freeze mid-dial. 3 jobs? The leather notebook weighs 1,000 pounds now. I pull it out slowly, letting the worn cover speak its own truth. Would you like to see my schedule, Mom? I kept very detailed records. Paige steps closer, her rapid blinking reaching hummingbird speed. She peers at the open page where I've documented every shift, every missed meal, every night spent sleeping at the library help desk between customers. But, her voice cracks. You were at every one of my performances. I saw you in the audience. Back row, working on homework during intermission. I flipped to another page. Usually between my morning cleaning shift and evening library hours. You never said anything. Dad's voice holds an accusation. You never asked. I turn another page, letting them see the entry from sophomore year. Their signatures on the emergency room forms for Paige's sprained ankle appear in stark contrast to the empty space beside my appendectomy records. Professor Greer clears his throat. The faculty reception is starting, Brooke. We'd love to have you join us. I close the notebook with quiet finality. Thank you. I'd like to celebrate with the people who supported me tonight. Brooke. Mom reaches for my arm. We're your family. Yes. I step back, joining the circle of professors and mentors who actually saw me. You are. But tonight I'm choosing to spend time with the people who noticed me before I became someone worth claiming. The Goldman recruiter hands me her card with a knowing smile. Professor Greer gestures toward the faculty lounge. Behind me I hear Mom's shaky inhale. Dad's uncomfortable cough, Paige's quiet "oh." I don't turn around. My heels click against the polished floor as I walk away, each step echoing with a truth I've known since that senior year honors banquet. I don't need their approval anymore. I never did. 6 months before all this, the alarm pierces darkness at 4:30 a.m. in my small apartment. My phone screen illuminates a stack of finance textbooks, their edges worn from countless midnight study sessions. Beside them, last night's highlighted notes blurred together derivatives, statistical models, market projections. Sorry, I whisper to my roommate Sarah's sleeping form. She mumbles something incoherent and rolls over. The wall clock ticks forward mercilessly. My work uniform hangs on the closet door, pressed despite its growing threadbare patches. The same black pants, white button-up, sensible shoes I've worn since freshman year. Each item is carefully maintained because replacements aren't in the budget. Campus belongs to shadows at this hour. My footsteps echo across empty sidewalks while stars fade above century-old buildings. The janitorial closet key feels familiar in my palm, fourth key from the left, small nick on the edge. Inside, industrial cleaners and paper towels wait in neat rows. Start with the economics lecture hall. 20 minutes per classroom if I maintain my usual pace. Sweep, wipe, disinfect. My hands know the routine without conscious thought, leaving my mind free to review formulas for next week's midterm. Standard deviation equals the square root of variance. I recite under my breath, pushing the buffer across worn linoleum. Variance equals the sum of squared deviations from the mean divided by. Morning light creeps through tall windows, painting golden rectangles across freshly cleaned floors. 6 classrooms down, 2 to go. My stomach growls, reminding me yesterday's apple was my last real food. The dining hall won't open for another hour. Professor Chen arrives early to the finance department, briefcase in hand. She nods as I gather my cleaning supplies. Brooke, midterms coming up? Yes, Professor. Statistical analysis on Tuesday. Her eyes soften with something that might be a concern. I look away, focusing on coiling the vacuum cord. I don't need pity. I need to finish this shift and get to the library before my first class. The campus wakes slowly. Students drift past in expensive sweats, carrying steaming coffee cups. A group of girls laugh about last night's party. One of them wears the same North Face jacket Paige posted on Instagram yesterday. Early birthday gift from Mom and Dad. Love you guys so much. My phone buzzes. Another Instagram notification. Paige lounging on a beach in Cancun, fruity drink in hand. Spring break with her sorority sisters, all expenses paid. The caption reads, "Living my best life. Blessed." The library help desk chair creaks as I drop into it at 8 a.m. 3 textbooks spread open before me, notebook balanced on my knee. 20 minutes until my first class. Just enough time to review Chapter 7 if I skip breakfast again. Numbers swim across the page. My hand shakes slightly as I highlight key formulas. When did I last eat something substantial? Thursday dinner, maybe? The free pizza at the economics club meeting. You look terrible, Sarah says bluntly when I return to our room that night. She's curled on her bed, a psychology textbook open beside her. When's the last time you slept more than 4 hours? I shrug, dropping my backpack beside my desk. I'm fine. You're not fine, you're barely upright. She watches me pull out my notes. The utility bill cleared, by the way. Don't worry about your half this month. Sarah? Shut up and accept the help, Ellis. Her tone brooks no argument. You'd do the same for me. But I wouldn't, because no one in my life has ever taught me how to accept help gracefully. I stare at my finance homework until the numbers blur completely, and I fall asleep. The breaking point comes during Tuesday's midterm. Professor Greer's statistical analysis exam sprawls across my desk, but the formulas I've memorized dissolve into meaningless symbols. My hands tremble. The room tilts sideways. Someone calls my name from very far away. Then darkness swallows everything. I wake to fluorescent lights and concerned faces. The health center's paper-covered exam table crinkles beneath me. Professor Greer stands near the door, arms crossed. Exhaustion and mild malnutrition, the nurse says crisply. When did you last eat a proper meal? I try to remember, but the days blur together. Professor Greer's frown deepens. I found your work schedule, he says quietly. 3 jobs plus a full course load. Why didn't you apply for a teaching assistant position? The stipend would cover. I didn't think. My voice cracks. I'm used to handling things alone. He pulls a chair closer. Miss Ellis, I've watched you for months. Your analysis of market trends is graduate level. Your paper on emerging cryptocurrency regulations was exceptional. He pauses. The Franklin Ledger Fellowship was created for students exactly like you. The words don't compute. The Franklin Ledger Fellowship, the most prestigious award on campus. Full tuition, living stipend, guaranteed internship. But that's for exceptional students, I whisper. Yes. His eyes hold mine. It is. The nurse returns with juice and crackers. My hands shake as I reach for them. Small bites, she instructs. Your body needs time to readjust. Professor Greer stands. Rest today. We'll discuss the fellowship nomination tomorrow. He stops at the door. You've earned this, Brooke. Allow yourself to accept it. After the rest at the emergency room, I return to my apartment. That night, I curl in my bed with grandmother's notebook. Its pages hold years of carefully documented invisible achievements. Academic awards accepted alone. Medical bills paid in secret. 3 jobs balanced against perfect grades. But tonight, I add something new. The first entry that feels like hope instead of evidence. Professor Greer sees me, really sees me, and he thinks I'm worth investing in. Sarah's gentle snoring fills our dark room. For the first time in years, I close my eyes without setting an alarm. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight, just for tonight, I allow myself to rest. The fellowship email arrives 3 weeks later. I read it 7 times, each word sinking deeper. Pleased to inform you. Exemplary academic achievement. Demonstrated resilience. My thumb hovers over Mom's contact information. The last text from her was 2 months ago. Don't forget Paige's spring concert. I set the phone down without calling. This moment belongs to me first. To the girl who cleaned classrooms at dawn, who studied through meals she couldn't afford, who built herself into something extraordinary while no one was watching. The girl who finally learned she was enough all along. The next day at campus, Professor Greer smiles when I tell him my decision. They'll find out eventually, he says gently, at the ceremony. I know. I trace the worn edges of my notebook. But I need to own this victory myself before they try to claim it. He nods, understanding in his eyes. Well then, Miss Ellis, shall we discuss your interview preparation? The momentum shifts after that. Professor Greer arranges a teaching assistant position with flexible hours. The library supervisor adjusts my schedule around fellowship commitments. Sarah implements what she calls Operation Force Brooke to sleep sometimes. My new support network grows slowly, carefully. The graduate student who leaves sandwiches from the cafeteria when I work late. The study group that becomes family over shared textbooks and coffee. Professor Chen offering career advice between classes. For the first time, I understand what it means to be seen, to be valued, to be worthy of investment. The ceremony invitation arrives in March. Heavy cream paper, gold embossing. Family attendance requested, it reads. My hand doesn't shake when I finally make the call. Mom, I won something. It's kind of a big deal. A day after the ceremony, the diploma catches the afternoon sunlight, gold lettering shimmering against heavy cream paper. 3 certificates fan across my desk. Outstanding academic achievement, Franklin Ledger Fellowship, Department Honors in Finance. My fingers trace the raised seal on each one, muscle memory from countless nights counting tips at the campus coffee shop. My phone buzzes. Another job offer. This one from Goldman Sachs. The fourth today. I open my grandmother's notebook, comparing the Boston position's details against my carefully crafted criteria. Higher starting salary. Better advancement track. 3,000 miles between me and Michigan. Perfect. The next week, I went to my sister's graduation ceremony. Brooke. Mother's voice carries through the student union's open doors. Stand with your sister for photos. Paige shifts in her coral dress, her own communications diploma clutched loosely. Mother positions us against a brick wall, camera raised. Closer together, girls. Brooke, fix your hair. Paige, that beautiful smile. The same directions she's given since our first day of kindergarten. Only now Professor Greer watches from across the courtyard, his expression thoughtful. Now the university president pauses on her way past, noting the family dynamics with shrewd eyes. Richard, Mother beckons father over. Come meet Dr. Anderson. She's chair of the finance department. Our Brooke has done so well there. Our Brooke. The possessive pronoun lands like a stone in my stomach. Father extends his hand, all corporate polish. Richard Ellis. We've always known Brooke had potential in finance. Takes after my side of the family. Professor Anderson's eyebrows lift slightly. She was there last semester when I fainted during office hours, too hungry to focus after 3 straight night shifts. She knows exactly how much family support I received. I step away from the photo opportunity, circling through clusters of proud families to deliver my prepared thank you notes. Professor Greer, the library supervisor who approved my flexible schedule. The scholarship committee members who saw past my lack of extracurriculars to recognize raw determination. Miss Ellis, a recruiter from Deloitte touches my elbow. Have you considered our Boston office? The starting bonus is competitive. Thank you, Boston? Mother materializes beside me. But that's so far. Richard, did you hear that? Surely one of the Michigan firms would be more suitable. Close to family. I meet the recruiter's eyes. I'll email you my decision by 5. The reception flows around us, champagne toasts, proud parental speeches, siblings squabbling over restaurant choices. I stand at its edges, watching, documenting. Mother snaps photos she never bothered to take before. Father drops names and hints about connections he could provide. Paige blinks rapidly, processing the shifting landscape where she's no longer the automatic center of attention. My phone chimes with her text. Mom keeps asking about my career plans now. Thanks a lot. The sun slips lower, casting long shadows across the quad. Parents begin herding graduates toward celebration dinners. Mother grabs my arm as I reach for my bag. We have reservations at Giovanni's. Her fingers dig in slightly. Your father's treating, a special dinner for our accomplished girls. I gentle myself free. Actually, I'm having dinner with my study group. We made plans weeks ago. But, Mother's eyes fill with tears. We should be together as a family, especially now that. She gestures vaguely at my certificates. Now that what, Mom? Now that I've proven myself worth celebrating. That's not fair. We always believed in you. No. The word comes quiet but firm. You believed in my ability to handle being ignored. There's a difference. Father steps forward, checkbook appearing like a shield. Look, if this is about money, I can help with graduate school. We should have offered sooner. I've already accepted a fellowship at Boston University. Full ride plus stipend. I slide my phone from my pocket, pulling up the email. I also accepted the position at Wellington, their Boston office. Mother gasps. 3 weeks? You're leaving in 3 weeks? The apartment lease is signed, movers scheduled. I touch my grandmother's notebook, anchoring myself. I paid the deposits with my fellowship funds. But your sister, Mother begins, has her own path to follow? I meet Paige's eyes, seeing real understanding there for the first time. Just like I have mine. The evening breeze carries the scent of fresh-cut grass and new beginnings. Around us, other families cluster and laugh, plan, and celebrate. But here in our little bubble of reckoning, the only sound is the soft thud of carefully constructed fiction collapsing under the weight of truth. I shoulder my bag, certificates secure inside. Thank you for coming to the ceremony. I have dinner plans to keep. Mother reaches for me, tears spilling now. We're sorry, honey. We never meant. I know. The words come softer than I expected. But I needed that before I proved myself worthy. I needed it when I was hungry and scared and alone. I needed it every time you chose Paige's smallest moments over my largest ones. I turn away, then pause. Look back one final time. I don't need it now. With this burden taken off, I direct myself to my study group cafe. The study group waits at our regular table in the library cafe. These brilliant, broken strivers who became my real family. We raise plastic cups of cheap champagne, celebrating survival and success and the power of deciding our own worth. My phone lights up with Mother's incoming call. I silence it, smiling as Maria launches into her favorite story about my first all-nighter in the accounting lab. Soon we'll scatter to our separate cities, separate lives. But tonight we're together, these people who saw me before any awards made me visible. The certificates in my bag hold more than academic recognition. They're permission slips for the future I chose. Proof that the quiet girl with the worn notebook knew her own value all along. I just needed the world to catch up. 3 weeks later, the last box seals with a satisfying snap. 3 years of textbooks, budget spreadsheets, and hard-won independence packed away for Boston. My grandmother's leather notebook rests on top, waiting. A knock echoes through the half-empty apartment. 3 sharp raps, then 2 softer ones. Mom's signature pattern, unchanged since childhood. Brooke? Her voice floats through the door. We brought some things for you. My fingers trace the notebook's worn spine. Of course they'd show up unannounced. Success makes me visible at last. The door opens to reveal Mom clutching a cardboard box, Dad hovering behind her with his checkbook already in hand. The coral dress from graduation peeks out from under Mom's raincoat. We found these while cleaning out the attic. Mom pushes past me, setting her box on the kitchen counter. Your baby blanket, some old report cards. Those went to Paige. The words slip out before I can stop them. You gave them to her for her memory box when we turned 16. Mom's hands freeze mid-motion. Did I? Well, she probably just borrowed them. $300. Dad's voice cuts through the awkward silence. His pen hovers over the checkbook. For moving expenses. First month's rent too if you need it. The leather notebook catches the afternoon light. Its pages hold every borrowed memory, every financial slight, cataloged in my careful handwriting. No thank you. I keep my voice steady, the same tone I used during pre-dawn cleaning shifts. I've already paid the deposit, and the moving company. But Boston's so expensive. Mom's fingers twist her pearl necklace. We want to help now that we understand. Now that I've proven myself worth the investment. The words taste like bitter coffee, like endless nights shelving books for minimum wage. I cross to my desk and pull out the accordion file I've maintained since freshman year. Every pay stub, every receipt, every scholarship, rejection, and acceptance lined up in perfect rows. Let me show you something. The first folder opens to reveal a carefully highlighted calendar. Here's my appendix surgery sophomore year. You were at Paige's tennis tournament. The hospital bill's attached. I paid it with my library overtime. Mom sinks onto a moving box. We didn't know. Here's my tuition payment schedule. Another folder, another set of highlighted columns. And here's the wire transfer for Paige's study abroad program. Same semester. Now, listen here. Dad's voice rises, sharp with defensive anger. We gave you opportunities. To be strong? To figure it out myself? The next folder contains every award ceremony program they missed. You gave me exactly what you thought I deserved. Nothing. A text buzzes on my phone. Paige. Mom says you're being unreasonable. We're family. The word settles like dust in the emptying apartment. Family. The same argument they've wielded for 23 years. I'm returning these. I hand Mom a small box of borrowed items, an old calculator, 2 textbooks, a winter coat I'd outgrown. Everything's been cleaned and repaired. You don't have to do this. Mom's tears look genuine for once. We can start over, be closer. No. The certainty in my voice surprises even me. We can't. I lift my grandmother's notebook, its pages heavy with 2 decades of unspoken truth. You taught me independence by refusing to support me. You taught me strength by never offering comfort. You taught me self-reliance by showing me I could only count on myself. Dad's anger cracks, revealing something that might be regret. We thought. I know what you thought. The words flow smooth and clear, like final entries in a closing ledger. You thought I didn't need you. Now? I gesture to the packed boxes, the job offer letter from Boston framed on the wall. You were right. I don't. Please. Mom stands, reaching for me. Don't punish us for finally seeing you. This isn't punishment. I step back, my spine straight from years of carrying my own weight. This is independence, the kind you always said you valued. Paige appears in the doorway, her rapid blinking betraying her distress. You can't just leave. I've been leaving since we were 5 and you got the new bicycle. The memory rises, sharp and clear. I just didn't have anywhere to go until now. The silence stretches between us, 23 years of invisible labor laid bare. Mom's tears turn messy, genuine grief replacing manipulation. Dad's shoulders slump, his checkbook forgotten. And Paige finally stops blinking, really seeing me for perhaps the first time. I'll send my new address once I'm settled. I open the door wider, a clear dismissal. We can talk about boundaries then. They file out slowly, trailing missed opportunities and too late remorse. The door closes with a soft click that echoes like certainty. I stand alone in the apartment, surrounded by boxes labeled with my future. The leather notebook warms in my hands, its pages containing everything I am, everything I've survived, everything I've become. I am Brooke Ellis. And I am free. 3 years after settling in Boston, I have started developing my career. The morning sun streams through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting golden stripes across my desk. From the 32nd floor of one financial center, Boston spreads below like a promise kept. My fingers trace the worn leather spine of grandmother's notebook, now surrounded by industry awards and bound quarterly reports. Miss Ellis? Sarah, my intern, hovers in the doorway. Dark circles rim her eyes, familiar shadows I remember from my own college days. I finish the Miller audit, but something doesn't add up in the third quarter projections. I wave her in, gesturing to the chair across from me. Show me where you're stuck. She spreads her papers across the polished mahogany, hands trembling slightly. The same tremor I used to hide during dawn shifts cleaning classrooms, during midnight hours shelving books. I see myself in her determination, in the way she stretches her lunch budget with peanut butter sandwiches and free office coffee. Walk me through your process, I say, using the words Professor Greer once offered me like a lifeline. While Sarah explains, my phone buzzes. Mom's weekly text. Thinking of you, sweetie. Dad and I saw your company mentioned in the journal. A year ago, her words would have tied my stomach in knots. Now they float past like autumn leaves on the Charles River below. Notable but no longer earth-shattering. Sorry, Sarah mumbles, misreading my momentary distraction. I know you're busy. I have all the time you need. The words emerge fierce and certain. Someone once made time for me when I needed it most. Later that day, walking into my weekly therapy session, I notice Dr. Chen has rearranged her office. The afternoon light catches her silver hair as she settles into her chair. How are things with the mentorship program? Growing. I sink into the familiar leather couch. We're up to 15 students now, full scholarships plus living stipends. She nods, knowing the weight behind those numbers. We've spent months untangling the complex web of family dynamics, of being the strong one who never needed help until I almost broke from carrying the weight alone. And the birthday celebration last week? My lips curve, remembering. No forced smiles or careful conversations about Paige's latest achievements. Just my chosen family, Sarah and the other mentees, Professor Greer and his wife, colleagues who've become friends. For the first time, the candles on my cake lit up faces that truly saw me. The buzz of my phone interrupts. Dad's annual birthday call, 3 days late. His voice carries the same awkward distance it has since the graduation ceremony, since I stopped pretending his approval meant anything. The Boston partner mentioned you're doing exceptional work. Thank you. Simple words, neither seeking nor rejecting. Progress, Dr. Chen would say. Paige visited last month, alone. We walked the public garden, feeding ducks and carefully navigating the space between sisterhood and history. I never understood, she said, watching a mother swan guide her cygnets. How hard you worked, how much they missed. I didn't answer immediately, letting the words settle between us like the falling leaves. Neither did I for a long time. That afternoon with Paige felt like a turning point, small, quiet, but real. Her words didn't rewrite the past, but they softened it, making space for something new to grow. Maybe that's why, when the award ceremony approached, I didn't hesitate. And with this statement, I finished my therapy session and went home. The next week after the ceremony, the Industry Excellence Award sits on my credenza, crystal catching the late afternoon sun. The ceremony invitation said, "Family welcome," the same words that once sent anxiety spiraling through my chest. This time, I did it without expectation or dread. They came anyway. I spotted them in the back row, much like that first graduation ceremony. But everything had shifted, like tectonic plates, moving inches over years until the landscape transformed completely. Their presence or absence no longer defined my worth. The Ellis Family Scholarship for Independent Students launched last quarter. The selection committee meeting runs late, files spread across the conference room table. Each application tells a story I recognize: the carefully calculated budgets, the multiple jobs, the quiet determination to build something from nothing. Your grandmother's quotations really resonate with the applicants, Professor Greer mentions, sorting through essays. He's flown in to help select the first recipients, his silver hair and kind eyes unchanged by the years. My fingers find the familiar texture of her notebook, the pages soft from decades of turning. The quote that saved me now appears on every scholarship letter. You don't need the world to see you, you just need to see yourself. I slip the notebook back into my bag, its presence grounding me like it always has. What was once a lifeline is now a legacy, quiet proof of how far I've come and how far I can help others go. As I exit the building after the meeting and step into the golden hush of afternoon, a voice stops me when I walk through the public garden. The crisp autumn air filling my lungs, a young woman approaches. Miss Ellis, I heard your speech at the financial literacy workshop. She clutches a worn backpack, vulnerability warring with determination in her eyes. Could I ask for your advice? I led her to a bench near the swan boats, the same spot where Paige and I began rebuilding our relationship as adults. Opening grandmother's notebook, I share the wisdom that carried me from invisible daughter to woman standing firmly in her own light. The late afternoon sun paints everything in amber and possibility. Somewhere across the city, my mother's texts wait unanswered. My father's voicemails sit unheard. They're learning, slowly, to accept the daughter they never truly knew. But their acceptance stopped mattering the moment I accepted myself. I am Brooke Ellis, mentor, sister, survivor, the strong one who turned that label from burden to triumph. The invisible daughter who built herself into a lighthouse for others searching through the same darkness. The young woman leans forward, hope replacing hesitation in her eyes. Time stretches between us like a bridge, carrying my grandmother's wisdom forward to the next generation of invisible daughters learning to see themselves clearly at last.